Uncle Scott's Kitchen. On today's show, we're going to bake a delicious potato and rosemary schiacciata. Now, what is a schiacciata? If you don't know what it is, it's an Italian flatbread. Kinda sorta similar to focaccia, but with potato in the dough, and lots of olive oil and salt. The base version is one of those simple things you can bake at home that is absolutely delicious. In fact, my wife hates it when I bake one of these, because one bite and we immediately eat the whole thing up. Then we feel guilty about all those carbs, but man, are they worth it. Now, I did an earlier video called Schiacciata 101, where I demonstrated the recipe for the base version of this bread. And after that video, I received a nice letter from someone with the screen name Merlot Lee, who says, "My family is from Umbria, Italy, and my mom and grandmother baked the focaccia-style bread several times a week. I failed to ask for the recipe, and now they have all passed on. So when I ran into your site, I became very interested in the schiacciata recipe because it looked like the bread they baked. After watching your video a few times, I baked one yesterday, and I am so pleased with the results. I have copied the recipe and will be passing it on to my 3 daughters so we can keep the Italian thing going." Well, thank you very much, Lee, for the very nice letter. And honestly, I can't imagine a nicer compliment to our schiacciata than it reminds someone of their Italian mom and grandmothers. And it kind of shows that we're making the real deal, authentic schiacciata here. So today we're going to build on our base Schiacciata 101 recipe. We're going to advance a little and move up just a little bit in skill and make schiacciata alla patata e rosmarino. Schiacciata with sliced potatoes and rosemary. Now, it may not sound like much at first, but there's actually much more to it than just adding toppings. We have a couple of decisions to make, a couple of forks in the road. And you will need to adjust your prep and baking accordingly, depending on the decisions that you make. Now, if you don't want to write any of this down, detailed instructions are on the website. The first thing we need to do is follow the base Schiacciata 101 recipe, which is linked below. Now, you want to follow that base recipe all the way up to the last rising of the dough. Now, with about 30 minutes left in the final rising, go ahead and turn your oven on and get it preheated to about 400 degrees, and we'll work on the potato and rosemary toppings and get those ready to go. Now, the first big decision you need to make is your choice of potato. Russets work well here, Yukon Golds work particularly well, and they produce a nice color as they brown. I'd start with one of those 2 choices. Once you can bake fairly well with these, then you can branch out and experiment with some of the waxier or colored varieties of potato. Okay, once you've chosen your potato, wash it and peel it. Generally, 1 medium to large size potato will be enough for the entire schiacciata. Your next decision, and probably the most important, is to pick the thickness of your potato slice. And once you've picked, to adjust your potato prep and baking accordingly. While this might not seem important at first, it actually is very important. If you go too thin, your potatoes will overbrown and burn before the underlying dough is done. If you go too thick, your bread will burn while your potatoes remain hard and uncooked. So what we need to do is adjust the prep and baking according to the thickness of potato slice that you prefer. If you're just learning how to make schiacciata and this is your first one with toppings, then thin is probably easier. If you like a thicker potato, what you need to do is parboil them for a few minutes before you put them on your schiacciata dough. What this does is get the potatoes slightly done, but not completely done. And your goal here is to have the potatoes and the underlying schiacciata dough cook at the same rate. If they cook at different rates, you're going to end up with burned dough and raw potatoes, and you don't want that. Now, I went with a little bit thicker sliced potato just because that's what I like. My slices were about 1/8 of an inch wide, and I boiled them for about 6 minutes. Slightly done, but not completely. Now, once you've boiled your potatoes, you need to take them out and dry them and let them cool down just a little bit. Now, the final decision you have to make is how you're going to lay out your potato slices. If you've gone with thin sliced potatoes, remember that if you overlap the slices, you're creating a de facto thicker potato slice, and that will affect the baking time of your dough. I chose to lay mine out almost like pepperonis. Okay, once you've gotten your potatoes laid out however you want, what you want to do is take your rosemary and sprinkle it around. Add a little bit more salt and olive oil, some pepper if you like, and then go ahead and put it in a 400-degree oven. After 20 minutes or so, start watching your schiacciata carefully. It's not done when the timer goes off, it's done when it's browned correctly. And here it is, one of the best things you'd ever want to eat. It's genuine, it's authentic, and it's absolutely delicious. Pretty much a one-bite cure for a low-carb diet. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, I'd like to ask you to please subscribe to the channel. If you haven't enjoyed the video, I'd like to ask you to please subscribe anyway. Do your good deed for the day. And now, if you'll excuse me, I've got some schiacciata to eat.